Today is Friday, July the 5th. I hope you had a good Independence Day. Nobody got hurt with fireworks. Let's take a look at FinViz, and you can see that all the markets started dropping, and that was actually because there was good news. There was good news because the jobs report was pretty favorable, much better than what was expected. They expected 120,000, they got 204,000. Now 16% of those were government jobs, the third largest sector to grow in employment. So take that for what it's worth. The market did recover mid-morning, started to move up. In the case of the Dow, it still finished down, the NASDAQ was down, and the S&P was just barely down. So now the market is concerned that with good news regarding jobs, that maybe the Fed on July 30th will not raise rates. So everything is in a wait and see, and next week we start earnings with PepsiCo being the first one to report on Tuesday, and then probably we'll start with the banks on Thursday and Friday. JP Morgan, Bank of America usually report in the first week. And we're going to be going into the week having left behind the jobs report, discussions about the Fed, not like there's not going to be more, but now we'll be looking forward to earnings. The advancers and decliners were relatively flat, with the decliners slightly outpacing advancers, so that means that our McClellan oscillator is still stuck and churning in this overbought area. So there's a stall going on in the momentum of money moving into the market. Up means money is moving into the market. The churning shows that it's happening at a much slower pace, which means that people are being cautious. Let's take a look at the S&P, which came down to almost test the gap that was created on, when was that, July the 1st, Monday morning. But it did finish at the top of its, it finished at the top of the candle, so that's not all entirely bad. Apple, a little bit down, nothing to report. Caterpillar is still not a stock to buy. Remember, I got out of it last Friday by letting all of my 134 and 35 covered, 133 and 34 covered calls just expire and get the stock taken away from me. I want to own Caterpillar, and I want to own it sometime next week so I can take advantage of the dividend that's going to be paid in August. So anything that bounces higher tomorrow after this 200 EMA bounce and stays above this flat cloud is going to give me some encouragement. Now I expect if we move up, I don't know what news could drive that. I mean, Caterpillar will be going into its earnings not next week. I'll check later, but it's probably sometime in the second week or even the third week of earnings. So I'm not sure that I want to hold it into the third week of earnings. I may want to buy it next week on a move up, be a holder of record for the dividend, and then wait and see after that. Gold came down and touched the gap and found buyers at the top of the gap and finished at the top of its candle. So that's a really good sign. Let's see what happens with gold, but the dollar is still expected to be strong for a while yet. So that would not be favorable to any of the gold stocks. This is the gold miners. WDC had a really decent day, 47 cents up. I'm still long in WDC with no short calls. And in Whirlpool, you know that I had the 147 covered calls. I got rid of those, but that was only like 35 cents premium. So I rolled down to next week's 145s. And if it hits 145 and they take my stock away, I'll have broken even. But I'm expecting Whirlpool to pull back a little bit more. And maybe I'll be able to make some premium. Maybe I'll get out of the sale before earnings. but I will have earnings dates for you on all of these stocks when we talk on Monday. But Whirlpool will definitely be later on in the earnings cycle. I am sitting at 41% profit, and that is because I did buy the Whirlpool stock on Tuesday. I was up at 51% last Friday. I had a positive week. It wasn't a big positive week, but it was green. I was very happy to be mainly cash and going into next week at 41%, and being able to offload Apple for a profit and Whirlpool for a small profit if I want to, and go into more cash. I'm in a position to do that on Monday, and stay tuned because that's what I might do. I am nervous about the market. I am nervous about the economy in the third quarter. I'm just generally nervous with the way things are going on globally and even within our country. I'm not sure that all of the facts are being exposed to us. The market is pretty smart, and the market right now says that it probably wants to hit 3,000, and it may want to hit this trend line, which would be at 30.12 if it were today, and it'll be a little bit higher to hit that trend line on Monday. So 3,000 and that trend line is certainly within reach of a greedy market. Can it do it before the earnings start scaring people? That will have to be before Thursday. I want to point out one other thing on Whirlpool. Remember, whoops, what happened there? Whirlpool had its pullback where it's still over the trend line, but it had its resistance right there on the 38.2% retrace from this high back in 2015, February 2015, to this low in January of, basically end of December 2018. So that 15, 16, 17, 18, 4-year drop, we've now recovered 38% of it. I believe Whirlpool is a good stock to own. It's trading ex-dividend now. Its earnings are on the 22nd, so we still have some time before earnings. I'm going to have to read up and see what people think about earnings expectations, but I would want to be very careful owning anything, owning any stock without some sort of hedge before they report for earnings. So have a good weekend, and thank you very much.